Hello, welcome back to There and Doing It. I'm Hester, and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, forget about the Leicester game because we didn't do the pod for that.
Yeah, we lost to Leicester. Did we?
What?
I don't remember. What?
I never do that.
I never do that.
We beat fucking Elfsborg, mate, and
we are back.
We are back.
Spurs are on their way to Bilbao.
Tottenham's going to do it. You know what I was thinking earlier? I was thinking where you were like an advocate for Europa League last year.
Yeah.
Whoa. They all laughed at you.
You're not laughing now, are you?
They're not laughing now.
I'm bringing this up. I'm bringing this up in about an hour. I'm doing the fighting cock after this. And Flav kept laughing at me for saying I wanted Europa League over Champions League. Well, I didn't want Europa League over Champions League, but I was like, I'll take it. I'm fine with Europa League.
Would Ajayi be scoring bangers in the Champions League? No.
Yeah. Would he have done that against Real Madrid? No.
But that's the thing. Like, we would have crumbled if we were in Champions League, just like we've crumbled in Europa League because of the game time. But we've still had, like, we were still able to bleed through these younglings, mate. And
younglings,
fucking good. Isn't that from Star Wars?
I think so.
I thought that was a word.
I think it is.
But mate, it was so good. The one takeaway, though, I wanted to touch on at Leicester was what would have happened if Postecoglou, when he poked his head out and was like, "Who said that? Who said that?" What would have happened if the guy was just like, "Me"?
Yeah, good point. And when I said it, I think you're taking us down, mate.
Yeah, like what would have happened? They wouldn't have confronted him.
Do you think we'd ever see
Eric
Dyer?
Eric Dyer, yeah. Do you reckon?
Maybe.
Do you think?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he's got it in him.
Do you think as well? I mean, let's not. We all know how shit the Leicester game was. We all know. Like,
we don't talk about the game.
We all want Levy out. Things have got to change. It wasn't good enough. We are in a relegation battle. Brentford is absolutely massive. But do you think Postecoglou, asking the more important questions here, do you think he's lost a bit of weight?
Oh my god, yeah.
He looked good. He's been looks maxing. I think he's been taking. I think he's ordered some mouth tape off TikTok shop. He's not mouth breather anymore. I reckon he's been taking supplements every day. He looks good. He looked good last night.
He did look good. He did. He looked leaned up. Not leaned up. That's high. He just looked lean.
Yeah, he was off. He was off the boost. He was on lean.
Yeah, he does look good, mate. He actually does look good, and it's weird because if you think about what he should look like, like Jose Mourinho, he would look amazing as a tan. Like, has that charisma, haircut, whenever he gets a new job, fresh suit, and then slowly turns homeless, when the stress starts getting to him. And then by the end of it, he just looks like a wreck. Postecoglou might have the opposite effect. Maybe when he starts stressing out, he just refuses to eat.
Yeah.
And his wife's like, "Ange, what's going on, mate? You ain't touched your burger." It's just like, "Nah, mate, I don't want it anymore." I need to focus on Elfsborg, mate.
I'm not hungry, love. I've got younglings to breed. I've got to feed them.
Give it to Marky Moore. He's starting Sunday.
Yeah, just passes the rest of his chicken burger over to Marky Moore. Go on, son, you're going to need that. You're starting at Brentford.
Need that, mate.
Yeah, protein.
But he actually does look really, really good. He does look good.
I was just holding out hope for this. I love Ange. I still am holding out hope for him. I mean, this isn't the podcast for these kind of conversations. It's important to have we can't ignore what's happening and where we are. It's still a mess, and last night doesn't disguise from that. But I think last night in isolation is one of those amazing nights as a football fan where, all right, Elfsborg are fucking pony, but 3 academy kids scoring the goals. Mikey Moore. I've never seen. I actually, me and Seb went to the game together last night. We were sat together, and I said to him, I was like, when he scored, I was like, he deserved that so much, because it was he must be thinking I've been playing virtually. I've been coming on in most games this season, right? Everybody loves me. I'm gonna be I could be the next Harry Kane coming through the academy. I know my time's gonna come and all this stuff. I'm the highly rated one, but I've just seen Dane Scarlett come back off loan from Oxford and score basically with his first touch. I've seen Damola Ajayi just come on and do that.
Yeah.
When am I going to get my first goal? And he had
Yeah.
he had chances as well. Like he had that one saved in the first half. He had the one where I think Kulusevski slipped it through to him towards the end of the game where he just couldn't sort his feet out in time. He was putting in some nice crosses. And it's like, when is it going to happen for me? And I literally said to Seb, like when he won that duel on the halfway line, when Bergo won the header, I was like, he's going to score here. Like the way he picked up and drove, so much confidence. I was like, that's what it's about. Like our academy has got some, look, that front three of Ajayi, Moore and Scarlett might cook in the championship next season. That's what I'm going to say. But it was, it was just a really good night. And it's like, we're a mess right now. And look, we'll come on to the Brentford game when it's time and we'll deal with what happens after because it's going to be really tough. But if last night didn't put a smile on your face, regardless of where we are in the league, then,
Yeah.
And we've done our job. We've done our job through. I mean, have you seen our potential games for the next round?
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? So obviously we're through.
We've already played 2 of them.
Yeah, but Galatasaray, mate, fucking done us over. But Real Sociedad and Galatasaray are the 2 ones where I'm like, I can kind of see like classic Spurs, like we can make that more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah.
But if we can get any of the others, and actually, I mean, they're up there with maybe like Athletic Bilbao for like the favourites, like in Europe. I mean, who is even out there? That's probably like one of the toughest challenges if we do beat them. So
who finished top? Was it Lazio in the end? So they would be obviously further down the
Lazio. Yeah, Lazio. I mean, Man United are the obvious ones, but I mean,
they finished third. Who did Man United? Who obviously they finished third. Who were their possible opponents? Because if United would have drawn last night, we would have finished third, right? Instead.
Oh right, okay. I don't know their potential. I don't know to be honest, but I can kind of see Man United losing in like the round of 16s and stuff or whatever it is. I can't remember the.
So it is round of 6. It's round of 16.
Round of 16.
So it's like So obviously, so United will play. Doesn't fucking say.
Oh.
to be honest, doesn't say. Oh no, it does. They will play. Oh no, we're in the same bracket as them, so they'll basically play who we don't get.
Oh, okay. So hopefully,
so then we've got the same
opponent. Like that. That'd be good.
Yeah, we've got the same respective opponents. So 2 of those 4 teams will go through. It's AZ Alkmaar, Midtjylland, Sociedad, and Galatasaray. So obviously, you'd imagine it depends how they get. That Sociedad and Galatasaray could get drawn against each other. Mm-hmm. Which is obviously would be the nice thing. I think it might be today actually. Oh no, the 21st of Feb it is because the Champions League draws today. Okay. So I thought it might be Thursday, but it's 21st of Feb.
I'm confident, mate. I'm really confident. And you know what? Yesterday, I mean, I got into Spurs from going Europa League nights with my dad. Like, at White Hart Lane, obviously it was a lot harder to get tickets, I think.
Yeah. Did the anthem capture you back then the way it has to everybody now? Like,
mate. It was like that. It was like that Ratatouille meme, or that where he's a kid and he gets flashbacks when he's eating the ravioli, like not ravioli, the ratatouille.
The ratatouille. It's like in Ratatouille where he starts eating the ravioli.
I thought the ratatouille was because he was a rat. For fuck's sake.
No, fucking hell.
But so what was I even saying? Yeah, so it gives me flashbacks to that because I grew up on like Europa League nights. And that's how I got into Spurs and gained the love for Spurs. I remember you could hear my voice on the TV because I was literally by the corner flag and me and my brother were shouting, "Put it on the corner spot on the penalty spot, Trippier. Come on, Trippier." It was like, we were playing some.
What's it? Was that have been the season that was like? That must have been the season that I think we went out.
It was the stripe across the. It was the stripe across the the seatbelt.
Yeah, the seatbelt.
So, but I mean, that was a throwback as well.
We had some good games that year. Yeah, we had some good games that year. We beat Fiorentina and we got knocked out by Dortmund, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we did. I think the next season, I actually remember we played. We were really, really close to the pitch, really like first people to the pitch. And a kid came on called Lotin, and he got an assist for Monaco. We beat him 4-1. And then in lockdown, I watched the highlights. I was like, "What the fuck is that, Mbappe?"
Yeah,
and Kylian Mbappe,
Lotin.
Yeah, so we were like, "Oh yeah, that Lotin's right."
Yeah, Lamela scored a hat-trick in
yeah.
that game.
And didn't Tom Carroll score? I think
He did, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Tom Carroll scored. So that's the thing. And this game is almost like a throwback because we're playing Elfsborg at home under the lights, Europa League, and you're bringing on these players made in Tottenham, as Postecoglou said.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
And you've laid the groundwork for these kids to flourish. Like I mean, no one else. I feel like the youth players is exactly what we need right now when it gets this sort of dark, because the players are giving their all. They're obviously fatigued. Then you just bring in like a sprinkle of players that have nothing to lose, that want to prove something, and are hungry and are energetic and have they're fearless. And Ajayi, Scarlett, and I kind of want to get straight into Scarlett because I actually think that was almost make or break for him. I mean, everything on Twitter as soon as he came on, everyone was saying that he now can't go out on loan. Like, what a shit show. We're going to ruin his development. And you know what?
I literally just seen a tweet here from the Spurs Express that was like, Scarlett is now getting ready to come on. I really feel for him. We are harming his development.
Yeah, goal and assist, like straight away. So, I mean, that's the thing. I really felt like this was a bit of a breaking point. I'll make a break for him, like personally, because, and again, I mean, we've seen it. And I know it's so hard because when you've got Harry Kane as the sort of the person to look to, it's so hard. You don't want to compare him because he's such an anomaly.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's another player. He struggled on loans. He struggled. It brought back a lot of many times. Yeah. But he sort of made his name in the Europa League. So it's Dane Scarlett coming on, doing what none of the senior players could do, scoring a really good goal. I mean, the cross was insane. It was perfect. Brilliant ball from the header was amazing. And then the assist to Ajayi, I mean, it was just exactly what you wanted. And actually, the perfect sort of confidence boost you need, considering that now he has to become part of the team for the next 6 months, and he's gonna be relied upon whether he likes it or we like it or not. Because we're so like low on numbers. So, how huge do you think that could be, like, for him? And what's the expectations for him now for the rest of the season? We'll get into like Mathys Tel, but we're obviously bringing another attacker. I think we still 100% we still need to bring another attacker, but just having that other player there to sort of to throw in the mix.
Well, I think a few things on that. I think obviously we'll talk about Tel in a little bit, but like I think he is definitely being brought in as like if we sign him, I think that's your long-term Son replacement. I think that's the idea. It's like a left winger. But you're right now. Maybe. But with Scarlett, before I get into Scarlett, I wanted to ask you this question about, like, you kind of touched on it about, well, we sort of both touched on it earlier about, like, it's almost like what we kind of needed in terms of like just that injection of the youth and just like having that thing to sort of believe in. It was like, you know, you mentioned also about like players kind of almost cutting their teeth a little bit in the Europa League, and there's a lot of people were like comparing Scarlett to Kane, being like, I've seen this script before. Guy fails on like championship loans, comes back and starts scoring goals in the Europa League.
Yeah.
But it almost felt a little bit like, I said this a while ago when we were losing games we still are losing games in the league under Postecoglou, but like it was almost like, it feels a little bit like Kane, Mason, Bentaleb kind of vibes, where it's just like, let's just kind of press full send on the youth. But I mean, Ange hasn't really also had a choice. Like, he clearly trusts some of these younger players. Like, he loves Mikey more. You can tell he loves Mikey. And like, we'll talk about him. And that bench was full of kids that some Spurs fans would have never heard of last night. Demola Ajayi would be one of them. Like,
mate, I still don't even know who Ajayi is.
I mean, he's been doing well for a while. But anyway, let's talk about Scott. But yeah, just the overall point about just it sort of thing about like what we need, like just having that thing to believe in, of just like, it's gonna be all right. It might be all right in the future. It's like, again, you get so focused on the now, and it's not good enough right now. We need to improve now, because it's like we've been sold so many lies as Spurs fans to be like, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to compete. And it's like, you need that sprinkling of youth in and amongst that experience on top of it as well. But the way the young players kind of came to the fore last night, when the game was kind of floating a little bit, it was like, you always felt like we were probably going to nick the game and score, whether it was 1-0 or something at the end or whatever. When Kulusevski come on and that. But for Scarlett, it's like, obviously Lancashire's going out on loan now. That's definitely happening. So he's just going to replace Lancashire. And I also think that Scarlett might still get some games in the under-21s. Like, that happened last season, didn't it? When he came back on off loan from Millwall. No, where was he last year? Ipswich. He was at Ipswich when he last year. Like, when he came back from Ipswich, he was playing under 21 football for a bit, wasn't he? And then he was on the bench for us towards the end of the season, which is obviously good. And Scarlett's the one. Like people forget that, like Scarlett kind of is the one that like people have been excited about for a while from a striker perspective. He's still so young, and like I was really, really pleased for him last night because obviously I think when he first came back, he's 20 years of age. He's going to be 21 in March. Like he's still got time to. I'm not saying he's going to make it Spurs. I'm not saying last night was like a big turning point for him. And it's what does it mean, like etc. But it was just a great moment for him to do that. Come off the bench, goal and an assist. The way he took the goal, I love this celebration as well. Like that little
so cold,
knee
mate.
slide and stare down the camera. I've always felt like, as much as I think we probably went a little bit on Will Lancashire in the summer, and I think I probably did as well because I think he was showing real signs of like excitement. Look at how many goals he scored in the 21s last season. We won the title, and then in pre-season as well, he was banging them in as well and looked really sharp. But I think Scarlett, I think he's just a bit more mobile. I think he's probably more likely to be an Ange kind of number 9. I think someone like Will Lancashire. I think we've said it for a while with Lancashire. Like, obviously, he scored that goal against Galatasaray. I think that and got sent off. And so I think some people are kind of making connections as like it's almost like Ange maybe lost his trust in him that day. I don't really buy into that. I think that's very harsh to say that. But then again, he didn't come off the bench last night, did he?
It's a bit weird, though. Yeah, it's a bit weird. That was his last appearance.
Maybe he just doesn't feel like he actually really suits what he wants to do. Like, I think with Will Lancashire, it's like I do think. I saw Jacob Horsfall, Burnley fan, tag me in a tweet last night. Apparently, Burnley, West Brom, and someone else are 3 of the teams that are looking at him. And he sort of tweeted me about it. And I was like, I think a Championship loan or like a League One loan, even like look what's doing for Jamie Donnelly. I mean, Jamie Donnelly, I think is he's a real talent anyway. But like for Will Lancashire, I think it's like I think sometimes he focuses too much on trying to bully centre backs, and like I think Scarlett's just a bit more smooth. Like I think he's a bit more of a. Like I think just a bit more smooth and a bit more mobile and a bit more techie as well. Like I think he's kind of got that in the locker. It was a really good header, really good assist for Ajayi as well. What does it mean? Like I don't really know. He's going to be here now, and I think Ange likes him. I think he does like him, and I think that he probably has rated him more than Lancashire for a while. I kind of get that vibe. I don't really know why, because I think obviously Lancashire got more minutes over Scarlett in pre-season and that kind of stuff. It always felt like Scarlett was going to go out on loan or maybe be sold. The fact that they keep loaning him rather than, maybe they still feel like there's a future for him at the football club. But I don't know. I'm just really pleased for him. I just like, in that moment, it's a great, like you said, it's a great ball in from Kulusevski. How much is he going to kind of be able to like fashion his own chances and stuff at this level? But if you've got that kind of service, then get your head on it. It's a goal. Like, get in the right positions, which is exactly what he did. Obviously, you have to factor the opposition into account. But I'm just really pleased with Scarlett. He's had a bit of a, like you said, he's had a bumpy kind of ride when it comes to his loans, and he's never really been able to settle anywhere in terms of like regular game time. He was scoring goals a little bit for Oxford, and then it sort of dried up a little bit again. And I'm just really pleased for him. I think that's the bottom line. I'm just really, really pleased for him, and he's going to be here now. So he's going to be on the bench and stuff like that. And that first goal might give him a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, that meme of like that the mum or the dad holding the baby up out of the water.
Yeah,
and then you've got the like kid drowning next to him, and then at the bottom is that skeleton in that chair. Well, it's literally like Postecoglou holding Scarlett, Lancashire drowning, and then you just got Valise at the bottom. At the bottom of the pool, just like gone. Valise ain't gonna come back, is he? But,
no.
But I mean, it would have obviously done the world of good, and that's the thing with these youth players. It's where they come through at Spurs. You just want the best for their career. If they can make it at Spurs, brilliant. But if you can bleed them through and have that development for them, and they go off and have a good career, there's something like that we can cherish in that as well. Yeah. So him scoring after after a bit of a drought, well, not a drought because he still had a good spell at Oxford. It's just him scoring and becoming, he can be an asset to us. It's massive for us because we need numbers, but it's massive for him personally. And I think of we've had the likes of like Ben Taleb come through. We loved him at the time, and then he moved on. Ryan Mason, even like Tangango's having a brilliant season at Millwall.
Yeah.
Like we all love Tanganga. We all, like he was one of our own. But if it comes to be that he won't make it at Spurs, we send him off and just wish him the best, and we'll follow his career because he's one of us. So I feel like that's the same with Dane Scarlett. It's just brilliant that he could come on and make an impact because his confidence probably would have been pretty low. And to have that relief of this, I've just got my first goal for Spurs. I've been waiting, and then an assist as well, and just the composure he showed. He got stuck in a couple of times as well. It was just all round like brilliant. Just so happy for him personally because that's the thing. Young footballer, you just want the best for them on a personal level.
Yeah. Also, like it wasn't,
especially when it comes from Spurs.
Not the biggest game in the world, but we needed to win it, and he scored the goal that got us over the line, and scored in front of the South Stand, in front of a not full house, but like a big crowd, and it's just like it's a big moment. Like you could see what it meant to all three of them, and it's like one thing that I noticed when all three of the players scored, and look, obviously with Mikey, like we know the talent that he's got. Obviously, Ajayi was far more of an like we with Demola Ajayi, obviously a much more like unknown quantity, and Dane Scarlett, I think people were kind of just really happy for him because it's like he's been around for a while, and it's like you just want it to work for him. He's an academy boy, and if it's not going to work at Spurs, you want it to work somewhere else. He's clearly talented, and good enough to play at some sort of level. But one thing that was really nice, and I think like I was at the game, but like when I was kind of seeing some of the stuff when I got back, like Peter Crouch was talking about it, I think after the full-time whistle, and what was brilliant is that every goal, the injured players all on the bench just came, they all got up and they all like walked to the side of the pitch and were like clapping like they were loving it. And it's just like, who knows what's going to happen on Sunday? Who knows what's going to happen the rest of the season? But in this short period, a little bit like the Hoffenheim game last week, where it just, and again, we followed that up with a dreadful performance and a loss, but like, like it's just good to just get a bit of respite. And also just imagine that dressing room last night. Just a bit of positivity, a bit of like just an uplift, Like you can see what it meant to all the players, how happy they were for the 3 goal scorers and stuff like that. All the senior players there giving the youngsters their flowers, which is really, 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 really just buzzing to see that. And so it was just good vibes.
It was much more, and for the first time in a while, of a momentum game because Hoffenheim was a bit scrappy. This was like a convincing one again against Elfsborg, but under the lights, like in
pressure on. We needed to win it. Like
home game under the fans, young players scoring. Son playing well. Son taking on a man looked really sharp.
Mate,
Van der Ven back really solid 45 minutes.
Yeah, Van der Ven.
I mean that momentum we can take it into the weekend.
Yeah, I think with Van der Ven, it's like there was a lot of chat before the game as like whether he should start. And I saw some people saying it, and it's probably true. Like, it was probably much better off for him to start the game, get 45 minutes in the tank, and then just take him off. Because, if you're sitting there cold on a night like that, stiff a little bit, going out and warming up and sitting back down again, and then coming on for 15 minutes, you're probably more likely to pick up an injury. Whereas if you start the game, you've done the warm-up, then you go straight into the game. One thing about Van der Ven as well, and I said this last night, is that people are obviously so fixated on his recovery pace and Spurs' inability to kind of maybe play the high line without him. And I think that's been a lazy kind of lazy thing that's been said about Spurs for a while. But like our defensive issues are so much bigger than just not being able to play a high line and not being able to play the way we want to play. It's so much more than that. I think Van der Ven, like how many times he won basically every duel that he had in that first half, like on the halfway line, getting into the back of players and just popping the ball off quickly. And what him and Romero do so well for Spurs when they're a partnership, when they are playing together, and I really hope we see them back soon. It doesn't sound like it's going to be on Sunday, but maybe on Thursday against Liverpool, hopefully, is that they have that ability to just sustain pressure, keep a team penned in their half. Like Van der Ven and Romero squeeze up to the halfway line. We do kind of play that high line. And if they want to play it back, they want to play it over the top, then Van der Ven's got the pace to go backwards. But he's also just got that ability because of his frame. He's so hard to spin. So it's like he can just get into the back of strikers and just, how many times do you just do it where he pokes the ball away from them and then plays it onto another player? And then we just put the pressure back on that side. And Romero does it as well. And Romero's on the ball ability means that we can just keep teams pinned back a little bit and just sustain that little bit of pressure. So that was one thing that we were on them all first half. And Sonny, like, fair play to him. It's like, I don't, and I'm glad that he took him off at half time as well, just to keep him sharp. But obviously, it seemed like a bit of an odd decision because it was like he was absolutely had that full back on toast.
Yeah, it did.
But it was, obviously he's wanting to manage him, and he was going to start on Sunday. That was when was the last time? And again, taking into account the quality of the opposition, etc., blah blah blah. When was the last time Sonny was the best player on the pitch for Tottenham? Because he was in that first half. That hasn't happened in a long time, has it?
Yeah, he was. He's electric. It's been a while, and it's good to see. And that's the thing. It's like, a one game a week Sonny would probably be able to do that on a consistent basis. I think he's just, like we've all said, he's just been overused, and he just looks leggy. When he's leggy, he can't beat a man. He just passes it back. But he just looked like he had a point to prove. Maybe even being linked with Mathys Tel, maybe that sparked something in him. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, we'll get into Mathys Tel in a minute. Ajayi, then, can you tell me something about him? Because I mean, I know you pay a lot of attention to the youth teams. I don't really. I need to get better at that. But I think there's going to be a lot of people like me that wouldn't have known who Ajayi was when he came on. I've seen like photos of him playing for the academy and stuff, but I don't know what type of player he is. And he came on, unbelievable goal. Like, took it so well, and I just love the fact that he had that confidence and the fearlessness to touch and go, but then drift inwards infield for that 1-2. No, was it 1-2? I can't remember. But it just took it, touch and bang, bottom corner. And it was just like so efficient for a 19-year-old who's 3 minutes into his Spurs debut to take a goal like that.
Yeah,
at home. It was unbelievable, and you could just I mean, it was just, again, it's that same thing of one of our own come through the academy, and just imagine that feeling. Imagine that 3 minutes into your debut, you score a goal like that.
unreal,
in a European night. It's unbelievable. So, can you tell me something about him and sort of what his expectation was? Like, in your mind, when he came on, how did you think he was going to do, judging off of his youth team appearances?
I don't know, to be honest. It was all just a bit. I was glad, obviously, he come on when we were 1-0 up, so there wasn't as much pressure for him to kind of affect the game.
Yeah.
But one thing you could tell about him, he's that kind of player. He's got that ability to drive with strength and pace, and go at players, be a bit more tricky, be aggressive with kind of every action, and that's what he was last night. You could just tell he was kind of like excited to be out there. You could tell that with the goal, and everything he did after the goal as well, when he picked the ball up, everything kind of came with like so much like thrust. It was just like every time he got the ball, it was just he was excited to try and make an impact on the game, and that's kind of the sort of player that he is. He's got that strength to hold off players, but also has kind of got the pace to drive past them, but also the skill as well, and just hold players off. He's just, I don't think anybody necessarily. He's not a name that has necessarily been on the lips of like as many Spurs fans as are some of our other younger players that have maybe given more of an opportunity, or like, I think it's been other players on the fringes in the academy that people have been begging for them to get minutes, like players like Tyrese Hall, midfielder, and Luca Williams-Barnett, who's obviously on the bench for Galatasaray, who's obviously a lot younger. I think Williams-Barnett's like 16, so it's like, it's just unrealistic probably at this kind of stage.
Mm-hmm.
But Emmanuel, I think it's 19 or 18 or 19, so he's is he 18? How old is he?
I think, is he 19? I think, because Archie Gray's younger than him, I think.
Yeah, it's born in 2005.
Unbelievable performance.
Crazy. From Bromley. Archie Gray again, just silently on the radar.
The Van de Ven partnership is going to be good.
Yeah, I think that might be what it'll be on Sunday. He's only just turned 19, So, I was so pleased for him. Like I said, everything. It's kind of who he is as a player from what I've seen. Like, I haven't seen as much from him as some of the other youngsters, but like everything is just positive. Everything is kind of done with a thrust. Everything is done to like affect the game. Like, every action is positive. Yeah. And that was what was, so pleasing about that goal. And also the thing that was pleasing about that goal was that like he did something that a lot of our wingers just don't do. Like, don't do. When was the last time one of our scored a goal like that? Just like pick the ball up, drive inside with purpose, play a little 1-2. Like, our wingers just don't really do that. So
Brennan Johnson would get a fucking nosebleed trying to do that. Yeah. On his left foot.
Yeah, man.
He would never. It was unbelievable. And that's the thing, when you bring in these youth players, especially on nights like this, in front of the full stadium, full home crowd, they're just fearless. They got nothing to lose, so they can express themselves. It's like Mikey Moore, like you said, you knew he was never going to pass that. He was going to take that chance with both hands, grab it and score, and that's exactly what he did. It was just so composed, And these players, they're just fearless. And that's what we've been talking about for the last 2 years, how good our youth is, how good our team is. And we need to start trusting the youth a bit more. I mean, Ange Postecoglou's had a few critics, definitely trusting the youth, but his hand's been kind of forced. And you're seeing, and we're reaping the rewards of that. I mean, apart from the cup competitions, Europa League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, the youth have been the only real highlight this season for us to sort of be excited about.
Yeah.
And it just adds to that, and it's again momentum going into the game. So Brentford then, what are your expectations? Because obviously it's an away game. Brentford's home form is fucking sensational, and I mean, we'll link with Visser, but obviously Visser and Mbeumo, the Danish one. Damsgaard's unbelievable. Kevin Schade, he got a goal against Crystal Palace the other weekend.
Yeah, good header. It was a good header.
I mean, they're. I love Thomas Frank. Like, did you see the interview he did about not the interview, but like the behind the scenes
day in the life thing, didn't he?
Yeah, day in the life. That was brilliant. That was really, really good. So, and I think, again, like Leicester. I mean, we lost to Leicester. I was shocked, but was I surprised?
No.
And going to Brentford, and I don't want to like put a negative on this podcast because we need to take these games with, like saying, be happy, be present. Don't worry about Brentford this weekend until it happens, because we need to try and generate as much sort of positivity as possible, and these are the games to do that. But Brentford, I'm not confident, and again, if we lose, I still don't think it's the end of the world. I feel like we're slowly crawling our way back, I guess. And again, I don't think we're going to sack Postecoglou.
No,
I don't think we should until the end of the season. I think it needs just a review at the end of the season, and see how we can cope, how we can respond. But I'm trying to convince myself, gaslight myself, and mourn. Not more. That's so defeatist. But like, I'm already thinking I'm not going to overreact if we lose to Brentford on the weekend.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be as real as possible right now. And we're still not there yet. What are your thoughts with going into Brentford? Sorry, I know that sounds defeatist, but
no, I get what you mean. I mean, similar, to be honest. I think obviously Brentford are much better. I think the reaction after the Leicester game from everybody was like incredibly justified, and it was just nowhere near good enough, and we just completely had that game in the palm of our hand and threw it away. Like, this squad is incredibly depleted, which is why it was good to see Richarlison's minutes managed last night. Son's minutes managed last night. Van der Ven's minutes managed last night ahead of the big game. Kulusevski as well. Like, we need that. Bentancur coming off at half-time. Basuma getting 45 minutes of football back into his legs. It'd be interesting to see who starts in midfield, because Sarr was apparently walking quite gingerly when he came off at half-time, but then come out and played the second half, then played 90 minutes and end up finishing the game at left-back. So,
Dragusin injured as well.
Dragusin injured, which means we might see Gray and Van der Ven. I think Van der Ven being back for the Brentford game with, how much, like, obviously, one thing I love about Thomas Frank, and one thing that I think is a lazy take about Brentford, is that almost like they play the same way against everybody, which is not true. But against top teams that will kind of, and I'm not saying that we are a top team right now, but in terms of top teams, in terms of how they want to play, they will sit back that little bit more. They are so aggressive, Brentford, sometimes in terms of their press, and they can really suffocate teams. That's why they got such a brilliant home record, and have kind of beaten everybody you'd expect them to beat at home. But then obviously the games that they have lost there have been to Forest, Liverpool, and Arsenal. And Forest kind of maybe, I don't know, they kind of hit them on the counter-attack a little bit. That's kind of what Forest do. But Arsenal and Liverpool were just kind of too good for them. But obviously one major threat with Brentford, and obviously when we talked about Visser potentially joining Spurs, which I don't think is going to happen, obviously. But like those balls in the channel in behind, having Van der Ven back for that in terms of his recovery pace, I think is really good. Just having a better quality of centre-back on the pitch to deal with that attack is good. Hopefully Spence back for the game as well in terms of, his defensive kind of solidity against Mbeumo. I think Spence will probably start at left back. Or potentially, obviously, Porro had another 90 minutes last night. So whether he was play Spence
at right Daddy Davis?
Maybe could play Davis at left back, maybe. He genuinely could do that. It might be Spence at right back, Gray, Van der Ven and Davis. But in terms of the actual significance of the game, like, Brentford are a really good side. And, it's just such a shame that we've just pissed away games against Leicester and Everton, because I think that if we'd have won one of those games or drawn maybe even if we beat Leicester and drawn to Everton, like with the way that we are right now, you could probably go into this game with a little bit more like, nah, this is going to be really hard, and like kind of take it with the attitude that you kind of have just said there. Like, it's not the end of the world. Brentford are a really good team at home, and look at the injuries that we've got at the moment. It's a really tough situation to be in, etc., etc., etc. But it's getting to the point now where you are kind of looking over your shoulder, and like every game is like a must win or must not. This is like a must not lose for Tottenham, I think, against Brentford.
Yeah.
It's like maybe even just I don't know. I'd love if we could go there and win on Sunday. That would be absolutely massive. I think just to kind of, because it's like it feels like we've been so close to just trying to build some sort of momentum to get out of it, but it's always been the league that's let us down. It's like put a couple of wins together in the cups, like Liverpool. And then obviously Tamworth was so incredibly unconvincing. But like even before the Liverpool game, like I know we lost, but the performance against Newcastle was much better. And it was like, okay, like we know that this is going to be crap for a while, but it's like at least there's some signs there of like we're trying really hard to get out of this. And then you go and put in what we did against Everton and Leicester. And then all that momentum and kind of belief is just a bit lost. So it's just like, it feels like we've just been close to securing that bit of momentum, but we've just not been able to get over the line. And if we can actually beat Brentford on Sunday, going into that Liverpool game, it could be massive. It could be absolutely massive for us. And it's just a bit of respite and breathing space. And it's like, if we beat Brentford on Sunday, I'll be quite confident that we're not going to go down. Put it that way.
Like, that's enough. That's enough.
That's where we are right now, though, isn't it? That is kind of where we are. Whereas if we lose, as much as like, okay, Brentford are really tough to beat, I'm going to be really nervous. I'm going to be worried. And like, I don't know, it's just, like I said, I don't want to overreact. It depends on the state of the performance. I think it really does depend on the state of the performance. I think people's reaction after the game.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think people could take maybe losing to Brentford away. I think people could take that. I think they could stomach that. It's shit, but I think people could stomach it. As long as we put in a proper performance that's like, no, we are really trying to turn this around. That's not what we saw against Leicester. It's really not.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like as well, like Brentford are going to smell blood, but then again,
everybody does it. Also, everybody does at the moment. Everybody
that's true. Blood. Yeah, it's true. That is true. I mean, it's like that Mourinho clip in it when he was talking to his Chelsea team. He's like, we can win, we could draw, we cannot lose. It's like, that's kind of it for Spurs at the moment. But again, and like you said, you hit the nail on the head there, because it's the performance. You want to get behind the performance, and right now, if we lose going out punching and fighting, and again we're Spurs, we're Tottenham, and we're talking about Brentford away, but you in the context of this season, how sort of unforgiving and relentless the Premier League is, especially for us because we're fucking shit at the moment and we haven't got players. That like you kind of have to be. You kind of have to be real and think there's a massive chance we lose the game. But I would take a point just because to keep that bit of momentum going into the Liverpool game, 100%.
Yeah. I think so.
But I mean, a win, I'd be over the moon, especially because of how big that Carabao Cup second leg is. If we lose again, it's like we got to pick ourselves back up, and that's just a frustrating thing. Because we keep doing that, and it's like,
you want to go into that game with as much belief as possible.
Yeah. It's
about,
but.
Is it more like it's one of those things where it's like with the situation we're in right now, we can't be picky, but it's like, do you think it's more important to like this result? Well, it's kind of equal importance, really. It's a bit of a stupid question, but like, is it as important to tee up the Liverpool game as it is to just preserve staying above the relegation zone, like as clear as possible? Like, is that what's more important? Is it more important to just win the game for the Premier League points on the board, or is it as of equal importance to tee up the game on Thursday to like?
Mate, I don't know, because mate, this could be our most successful season in like 15 years. It's fucking bonkers, mental to say. Bonkers. Like, that is ridiculous. And it could be. I mean, we're in the cup competition, so it's like, what do you prioritize? I don't think we should prioritize. And like you're saying, we're in no place to start being picky. But again, we've got such a small squad, and we're so down and out. It's like, do we want to go all out, give it our all against Brentford? Obviously we do, but knowing that game is like tapping on our shoulder, Liverpool away at Anfield, 1-0 lead going into it. It's like, what do you? We're in just such a shit situation because the games are coming so thick and fast. Like, we can't even revel in this Elfsborg dub because like we're going to Brentford away, and it's like Brentford are so good at the moment. So I don't know, but do you know what? It's just I think we need right now more than ever. We need a bit of unity. We need a bit of cohesion. We need that. We need this support from the fan base. And I mean, again, yesterday the Levy out chance was still going on. It was even after we were scoring, they were going on. It's brilliant because there is that unison, and we need to just back the players, back the manager for the time being.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was like
and
an
go in and
to,
carry momentum.
Yeah, there was like with the Levy out stuff, there was like an active push to make sure this isn't just because we're not winning the game; it's because this is what we want. Like, and obviously, I think naturally,
really
Kulusevski coming on and having that sort of impact, those chants get up as well. It's just like the kind of constant noise of it, and also like it wasn't. Let's be honest, it wasn't as loud as Sunday, but like it's not going to be. You want to like there's a balance to be struck. It's like you have to keep sure that you have to make sure that noise is constant and that the Levy out thing we continue to bang that drum. But also last night, it's never going to be as ferocious, I suppose. But it was still loud and people were still singing. But also, I think it's important to give those youngsters who kind of change the game for us the flowers that they need as well, and kind of have the space for that, like as much as anything. So, but the fact that obviously change for Tottenham have kind of come out with a kind of statement about a protest about the United game and stuff today. So it's not going away. It's not going away. It's it's still there. So it's important that these things just don't just get forgotten because we won a game of football.
Yeah,
but also you also have to allow the space for the players to just celebrate that win, and especially in the manner that it happened. But it's that's probably a good segue to talk about the transfers, because obviously there's going to be a lot of heat about it. There's been some stuff that's come out this morning about we've got a Plettenberg update.
Oh no, I saw that little dickhead.
I mean, to be fair, all he's kind of said is, I think this might be glass half full, but like, I think he's kind of just doubled down on what was said yesterday. Like, I don't think I think this is
a guessing thing as well, because it's not really much news. It's more beating around the bush. And that thing is, I'm not like trying to gaslight myself. I mean, yeah. So we're also talking about Mathys Tel.
Yeah, I'm not.
But we're talking about Mathys Tel from Bayern Munich, 19-year-old Frenchman, winger / striker, unreal potential. Tottenham obviously agreed 60 million euros with Bayern Munich for, I'm guessing it will be a loan obligation. But he has got a lot. He's a little bit of a slut, Mathys Tel, because he's got a lot of people in for him. Yeah, exactly. So, and this is where I guess, and it's important what you're talking about momentum, keeping this Levy thing going, because I think a lot of this is hanging on a knife edge. I think because if it can look like good PR, because we're hearing Daniel from Fabrizio Romano, Daniel Levy is getting involved now for that, and it's like, well, if he pushes it over the line, oh, well done, Daniel Levy, what a signing this is. But if it fails, it's like it will just be like an iron fist to get, like it will be Daniel Levy's fault because he's now put his name out there that he's getting involved. And actually, I don't even think he should be involved. Like, fuck off, get out of this fucking. But anyway,
I think the thing with Levy in this instance is like, as much as we've all kind of banned that, we all want new owners. We want someone that's going to come in and move the football club on in the way that we want them to. That Levy has not done that, but I think in this instance, I think it would be difficult to I get why the anger will be there. I think that from my point of view, my anger won't be at Levy for making us not sign Mathys Tel. My anger will be at Levy for leaving it so fucking late in the window that we've let another one go. That means we can't bring in someone else who of that caliber who we actually wanted. And look, on the Tel thing, I understand that it was one of those ones that was always going to get what was going to move towards the end of the window, because Fabrizio Romano came out like 5 days ago and was like, he wasn't leaving, and then the situation has changed. So that's why all these clubs have jumped on it. So I've got no problem about the Tel thing in isolation if we miss out on him from the board perspective. But I have got a massive issue about the fact that now there is likelihood if he doesn't come, which I still think there's a chance, because I think United have still got a lot of hoops to jump through. It seems like he wants to go there, which, I mean, it's just bonkers. Maybe it's because they're the only club that can do it on a loan and he wants. Maybe it's more about not wanting to go to United. Maybe it's more about wanting to have a long-term future at Bayern, potentially still. Maybe that's what it's about.
Yeah.
But then again, like waving goodbye to the fans and that the other night just for a loan move seems a little bit, like in the way that he did, seems a little bit much. But I guess on the board thing, I think it's just like I think my frustration is just that like I won't be annoyed at Levy for getting involved and not getting the Tel deal over the line, because as far as I'm concerned, like Spurs have kind of done. We've done our bit. But we need to do more to convince him. We need to keep pushing and keep convincing him to come here. The job's not done, but we've agreed a deal with the club. We've been here before. Well, we've not been. And also, I don't think from some of the stuff that came out yesterday, I think Julian Laurent wrote an article in ESPN basically saying that like personal terms and that aren't an issue. It's just about where he wants to go. I don't think Spurs would have any problems like getting him to sign a contract. It's more just about, again, you never know whether that's true or not. It's more just about his preference, I guess. My issue with Levy and the board in this January window won't be about missing out on Mathys Tel. It's about why we left ourselves in such a position where we're scrambling around to sign him and then we will get no one if we don't bring him in, or it's likely we might get someone not near to that kind of quality, which is just super frustrating. And it's like we've not done enough regardless of whether we bring Tel in or not, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, we need a defender, and we haven't got a defender. It's like doing the bare minimum. But I mean, he is a player that he would be perfect. And I remember saying about him, not to like toot me own horn, but I remember saying in the podcast before the January window, he's a player we should go for because he's not getting minutes. But then it came out that I remember looking it up, being like, "What's the latest with Tel?" And then it would be like Fabrizio Romano or Pletigo saying he's staying at Bayern Munich. He's had a meeting, and now it's like this massive storm's brewing because he's now leaving, and all the clubs are jumping on him. So if you look at our competition, because obviously we've agreed the fee, so that means someone will have to match 60 mil, which that's a big ask. That's a massive ask for teams like Arsenal, etc., who are trying to save their money for a Sesko in the summer, or they're trying to save that money. They can't keep splashing all this money out unless they're selling players, because 60 mil is a big ask for any club to match. But it looks like it's down to just whether he wants that straight loan or not. But I mean, he's 19 years old. I'm sure Bayern Munich can have we can have a clause in the contract of when he leaves, you have first dibs. And
like every fucker does to us. Yeah, exactly. Like every
fucker. No, exactly. Just do that. Like this is like a long-term loan, or just have like an 18-month loan with an option or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just like someone who runs a podcast. I don't know if I can finances.
Yeah.
But Man United, it is. Yeah. Man United. I mean, they're being a little whores as well, because I mean, they're not going to sign Tel because they need to get rid of Garnacho and Rashford, and fuck me, they can't do it to save their life. They can't get rid of Garnacho and Rashford, so Tel's not going to end up there.
I think the way the dominoes fall is that I think Chelsea buy Garnacho, and I think that frees up the money for Man United to. The thing is, I don't think United will.
Do you think?
This is the thing. Like, this is kind of comes back to what I just said. Like, and maybe contradicts it a little bit, but like, does Tel? Bottom line is, right, does Tel prefer United because he prefers the idea of a loan move and game time, or does he prefer United because it's Man United?
Or wages?
But Tottenham can offer him the game time as well. But then wages, that also then comes back to them freeing up Rashford. Like, Garnacho can't be on big money. Surely not. I don't
know. No, that's like, why he wanted the new contract.
The Garnacho thing is about PSR and about freeing their funds up to actually be able to buy a player.
Yeah.
And then if United are going to buy Tel, then why would he want to go? Like, it doesn't quite make sense. But I think personally the dominoes might fall in a way that Chelsea end up panic buying Garnacho in the end of the window, like on deadline day. Tel goes to United on loan, and we end up with fucking Okafor or someone like that.
Oh, fucking hell. He is a poor man's Dan Juma, mate.
I'll try and find out what wages he's on.
I mean, that's the thing.
He's on about 50 grand a week, Garnacho. So it's not like Rashford's the one they need to free up the wages for.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's about Garnacho's about the balancing the books for PSR to be able to rebuild the squad, basically.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the one they can't get rid of. That's the one it is impossible for them to get rid of Rashford because he's just on so much money. But I feel like Man United are just sort of edging him, and then they're just not going to be able to get rid of their players, and then he'll accept us. Which again is a bit like, thanks, Tel, like fucking thanks for Man United are as shit as us, yeah. Like, there's no difference.
I still think we're in a better place than them. We're in a better exactly. He'll get more games.
Our future looks so much better.
Got two strikers. What are you going to do? Just abandon Højlund and Xerxes?
Yeah, look
For a
how that's
loan
gone
move.
for like the Hoylands and etc. as
Yeah,
well. When they've
for a
gone,
loan
and then
move for
you've got
6
our players
months.
who are flourishing, the youth players. They're the ones that are actually flourishing. So you can
Yeah.
join us. And Aston Villa as well. Like, I mean, Duran's left for a reason. He couldn't get game time. They've got such a hub of like attackers.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense
One
for
of
them.
them's going to have to get sacrificed. It don't make sense. Did you watch the Alcott video? Sort of breaking
No, I
down
saw he made a
just
video
each
talking
team.
about the club.
It was really interesting because the two teams he then was like, this makes the most sense is Arsenal and Spurs. And again,
Yeah, I
Arsenal,
think
they're
a lot of
saving for
people
that
have said
striker.
that.
It's known. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, is he waiting maybe for Arsenal? If, to be fair, he's doing the right thing. He's waiting for the right, not the, he's waiting for all the offers to come in so he can assess it. Tottenham, look, if you probably will end up back at Bayern Munich. We've got a really strong relationship with them, and it's kind of fell on our lap because we can use the Kane money. I remember back in the day when we were selling Kane, Tel was mentioned as part of like a swap deal, and he didn't want to leave Bayern Munich again. So he's obviously very committed to Bayern Munich, but it's just he wants game time. He will get so much game time with Spurs, and I feel my feeling is that it will end up. He will probably end up at Spurs. He's most likely to. But everything in the media is lined up for like a big hijack or a twist. It's sort of just, it is so lined up, and it's just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it.
I'm turning into my like my stepdad, where it's like, I won't believe it till they're stood on the pitch holding the scarf.
But imagine
I'm not
that.
paying any attention to it. But it's like, I can't do that. I've got bills to pay. I've got TikToks to make, mate. I can't just wait until he signs. I've just seen a thing.
Imagine if we sign him though.
Mate, it'll be unreal. He's a great player. Like, we should. I mean, I've got to jump in a sec, so we haven't really had a load of time to get into him as a player. But like, I think left wing, like I said, Sonny replacement, left winger, can play out front as well, which offers really nice versatility, especially going into next season. Especially now where we just need kind of bodies, and I think that it's about in January kind of getting these Swiss Army knife signings across the line. He's a great dribbler. He's got power, ball striking as well. He's brilliant. He's not actually scored a goal for Bayern this season, I don't think, but it's been a bit. Like, I think a lot of people have said it. He's the sort of player that needs rhythm. Like last season where he got more consistent game time, I think you saw more out of him. And he's 19 years old. I think he's got all the talent in the world, like skillful, power, like I said, ball striking, his ability to go past man. He's a really good crosser as well, which I think if you think of like some of the crosses that Mikey Moore, Mikey Moore loves that cross. Like he's kind of set up Richarlison for against Everton. Doing it quite well last night where he drifts into that half space and that really teasing ball towards the back post. He did it a lot against Alkmaar as well. Tel loves that. Go and watch the assist that he got for Sane, I think, at the weekend. That delicious cross. Like, lovely finish as well by Sane. But interestingly, I've just seen a tweet from the Spurs web. Apparently, according to the Guardian, Spurs did make an offer for Rashford, but he rejected it because he wants to join Barcelona.
Fucking hell, mate. He'll bankrupt them, mate. Oh,
can't remember Daddy Olmo, but we're going to get Rashford.
Yeah, mate. He's on like 500k a fucking week. I mean, yeah, we'll end on this. Tel dibbling for the summer, left and right options.
Would love
that. That is very, very good.
Need a six, the backup centre after the fullback, but yeah, we're lovely.
Yeah. But I mean, that's our future sorted, isn't it? Literally, it is like for the next 5 years. But anyway, we can fucking hope. Let's hope by the time this comes out, he's signed for us. But oh my god, it's like squeaky bum time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we've been here so many times, it's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
if it
we
happens,
didn't get into it too much. We can jump back on the stream later. Anyway, let's chat about it.
All right, thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for getting involved. Cheers, mate. Legends. Hit the subscribe button. We're obviously going for 1,000 subscribers. Hit the follow button on Spotify if you enjoyed. Bit of a quicker pod, but we had to sort of revel in that win. So onto Brentford. And let's hope we get some good transfer news. Up Spurs.
Nice. Cheers, one. Mate. See you later.